they say redemption can be found in the most unusual places. Captain Torrance, Flight Commander. How can I help you? Fugitive extradition. The clock is ticking. Every minute matters. We're getting off this island.
Imagine discovering a plot hole so massive, it collapses the entire plane's universe. Let's dissect the scene that broke the internet. The film begins with Brad, a pilot, walking through the airport while talking to his daughter on a video call. He promises her that he will finish his work soon and come to see her, which makes her happy. Brad then heads into the cockpit where he meets his fellow pilot. The two begin chatting, but soon Brad is called aside by an officer. The officer informs him that due to an emergency, he must take a dangerous criminal named Tony on the flight. Brad is given responsibility for Tony because of his sensible nature, and he reluctantly agrees. After meeting the rest of the crew, they check if all passengers have boarded, and once everyone is seated, the plane takes off. Brad shares with his co-pilot how much he loves his daughter and that he plans to meet her soon since they only have each other. Night falls. The weather suddenly turns bad. Brad grows uneasy and instructs the passengers to fasten their seatbelts. He tries to contact the control center, but the radio systems gradually fail. Suddenly, the plane is struck by electric shock, causing turbulence. Brad checks on the passengers and is relieved to see they are safe, though the lights begin to flicker and the plane is hit again. He falls, injures his head, but returns to the cockpit to regain control with his companion. With failing instruments and no visibility, Brad decides they must bring the plane down before another shock destroys it. During the descent, panic spreads among the passengers. A woman unbuckles her seatbelt, prompting Tony's escorting officer to do the same, and both are killed by the turbulence. Despite the chaos, Brad manages to steady the plane and directs the flight attendants to calm everyone, assuring them they will attempt an emergency landing at the nearest possible location. Spotting an island below, Brad and his co-pilot make the risky decision to land there. Miraculously, they manage a safe landing. Though relieved, Brad notices only a small amount of power remains in the plane. He orders the passengers to disembark. Meanwhile, the airline owner, unable to contact the plane due to the broken radios, believes it has disappeared, which leaves him worried. Brad learns that Tony's escort has died, but he encourages the crew to stay strong and look after the passengers. Addressing everyone, Brad explains they had to land due to an emergency and reassures them that food, water, and shelter will be arranged until help arrives. Elsewhere, the airline's manager seeks out a rescue expert to track the missing plane and passengers. Brad attempts to repair the plane, but discovers the remaining power is too weak. His co-pilot examines the map and reveals they've landed on a private island controlled by a violent militia. If the group is discovered, the government may not be able to save them. Brad insists they must find a way to contact a rescue team. He decides to head into the jungle to locate a working radio. Taking Tony with him that they trek, Tony questions Brad's decision to free him from his cuffs. Brad explains that keeping him bound would endanger everyone since they'll need to face the militia together. But Tony soon slips away, leaving Brad alone. Meanwhile, the rescue expert gathers intelligence and sees footage of Brad fighting fiercely, which reassures him of Brad's capability. Brad eventually finds an abandoned factory containing a broken radio. He manages to get a weak signal, but the person on the other end cannot hear him. Thinking fast, Brad uses his daughter as a relay, asking her to pass the message to his office. Suddenly, he is attacked by a militia member, but he overpowers and knocks the man unconscious. Hiding, Brad discovers Tony has returned, this time armed with stolen weapons from defeated goons. Tony supplies Brad with weapons, and together they discover a camera showing the militia's operation, kidnapping outsiders and extorting ransom from their families. Realizing the passengers are in danger, they hurry back, but the militia reaches the camp first, holding everyone at gunpoint. The passengers' names are demanded, and when a woman attempts to flee, she is executed, sending shockwaves of fear through the group. The militia begins loading the passengers onto buses to be transported as hostages. Brad wants to intervene, but Tony restrains him, explaining they cannot face the militia's army alone. Instead, they ambush a couple of soldiers and learn the hostages are being taken to the factory. Meanwhile, the rescue expert has received word from Brad's daughter about their location and the presence of the militia. The airline owner orders a private strike team to assist immediately. Brad and Tony infiltrate the factory, silently eliminating guards. Tony, filled with rage, uses a hammer to kill multiple militia men, while Brad unlocks the prisoners and instructs them to head back toward the plane. However, their escape is blocked by heavily armed militia. Brad distracts them while Tony leads the passengers away. Brad is beaten by the militia leader, who refuses to release the hostages without ransom. Just as Brad is about to be executed, the private strike team launches a surprise attack, killing many militia fighters. They rescue Brad and regroup with the passengers. The group heads back to the plane. Brad learns the strike team is not the official rescue team, but a smaller private unit. Knowing the real rescue team will take time to arrive, Brad insists they must attempt to fly out immediately. Together with the private team, he begins repairing the plane under heavy fire. The strike team holds off waves of militia attacks while Brad prepares for takeoff. Tony discovers a bag full of money in the strike team supplies, but resists the temptation, instead fighting alongside Brad until his ammunition runs out. Just as the militia leader prepares to destroy the plane with a rocket launcher, Tony spots him and takes the shot, saving everyone. Finally, Brad manages to lift the plane off the ground. The airline owner directs them to a nearby safe airport. Though the plane sustains further damage, Brad executes another emergency landing. Exhausted but alive, the passengers cheer for Brad's bravery as the rescue team arrives. In the end, Brad speaks with his daughter, who is overwhelmed with relief and joy that her father survived. With the passengers safe and his promise to his daughter kept, the story of Brad's courage comes to a close. The so-called plot hole comes from the moment Brad and his passengers land on the island. The airline's owner and the outside world believe the plane has vanished, but logically, with modern tracking systems, satellites, and radar, a commercial flight can't just disappear so cleanly. The movie ignores this to heighten the tension and isolate the characters, but when you step back, it unravels the film's realism. If the world could locate them so easily, the militia threat and survival struggle wouldn't exist, which means this hole isn't just a mistake. It's the very device holding the story together. Agree? Disagree? Watch it again, and let's start a comment civil war. And if you're obsessed with hidden movie secrets, smash that bell. Our next video might ruin your childhood.